And then where that line hits your line segment is going to be your midpoint. So let's put a point there. I'll label it M for midpoint. Let's see how far we've come. What markings could I put on my diagram that says that's the middle of the line and it cuts the other two into two congruent pieces? What other markings could I put up here? Darn right I can. I can put hash marks, on AM and MB because the midpoint divides it into two congruent parts. Okay? So again, just to review quickly, we opened up our compass longer, more than halfway, made a decent size arc, almost a half circle, kept our compass the same setting, went to the other endpoint, did the same thing, made sure they intersected in two spots. All right? Questions, comments, anything at all? Okay, so we all right using our compass, finding the midpoint before we start doing some algebra with the midpoint. Okay, perfect. That is it for the constructions today. Okay, that is it for the constructions. Because all we're going to do is sketch and draw now. Okay, so what I would like you to do right now is below, you can either do it below the givens or below the conclude statement, doesn't matter. Go ahead, draw segment AB, put midpoint M on it. Again, we're sketching this. Do not use your compass. Draw segment AB, put M as the midpoint. I'd like you to appropriately mark your diagram now. That shows me that M is the midpoint. Do not put an arrow at M and say midpoint. Put markings on there that says it's the midpoint. Okay, let's start calling on people here. I want to know what markings you put on here. Here we go. Number 9. What markings did you put on there that says that's the midpoint?
I put hash marks on both of the sides.
Where?
Between A and M.
Start naming them.
Between line segment A and M.
Okay, those are points though. They're not a line segment.
Oh, I mean between points A and M, and then between points M and B.
Okay. It says conclude. So now what can we conclude? If M's the midpoint, we can conclude that AM is congruent to MB. Okay. I want you guys get in the habit. Now that I give you information, what can you give me back that you know it's true? Also, I'm going to write one more concluding statement. You guys fill it in for me. Probably shouldn't have put the 1/2 that far away. What's this mean? No line segment. What's this mean with no line segment? The length of the distance of AM is equal to half of, Frank? The distance of AB, or the length of AB. Yep, and I could also substitute in what for AM and still make this true. What else could I substitute in for AM to still make this true? Here we go, number 7. What else could I substitute in? MB. Questions? All right, now let's actually put some variables with it now. Same diagram, all right, same diagram. You don't have to change it. All right, don't do it over again. Here we go. M's the midpoint of AB. We got it. AM now is 2x plus 1. And BM is 3x minus 4. Find the distance of AM, the length of BM, and the length of AB. All right, so I got to set up some type of equation now. So I can solve for x and then plug and chug. Suggestions you got for me? Suggestions on an equation to set up. 15.
That is 2x plus 1, 3x minus 4.
What happened after the 2x plus 1? What are you going to set it equal to?
AB, or
So you're writing this right now. I don't know what it's equal to. Were we told what AB is equal to? No, so I can't set it up. Everyone see that? I can't just add them together because I don't have anything to set them equal to. Do we see that? Okay, so that's not going to work putting the two together because I don't know how long AB is. All right, and I can't call it X because I don't know that. So I need something else here. Here we go. It's 5. What do we got? Because you know they're congruent to each other, I know that 2x plus 1 is the same value as 3x minus 4. Everyone good there? Okay, so let's move the 2x over. You end up with x equals 5. That's not what we were asked for, though. Plug and chug now. I'll ask somebody in a second what the value of AM, BM, and AB are. Yes, go ahead. Yep. So take 5, plug it back in. You should get the same values, hopefully, for AM and BM. I hope. Okay, do we have those values right now? Let's get it moving. Number 9, do we have those values? AM and BM are both 11, making AB. Who's got 9? That's the number that came up here, number 9, 22. Any issues going? Do we understand, starting to understand the concept of midpoint before I put it on the actual graphs? It's the middle of a line segment, cuts it into 2 congruent parts. Questions? All right, let's go. Okay, so now, just like we did with distance formula yesterday, now I want you to put it on the graph and find me the middle of the line segment. What is the coordinate of the middle of the line segment? So take a minute right now, go ahead and graph line segment AB and line segment CD for me. Don't get this confused with distance. When we go to number 1 right now, find the midpoint of AB, you guys should not give me 2 radical 5. When I ask for the midpoint, what am I looking for? A coordinate. All right, when I look for the midpoint, I'm asking you guys to give me an XY coordinate right now, not a number. All right, I am not looking for distance like I was yesterday. I'm looking for what is the coordinate of the middle of that line segment. So if we go to AB first, midpoint of AB. What do we end up with? Number 4, what do we end up with? 4, 4, looks good to me. And what is the middle of line segment CD, the midpoint of line segment CD? What do we end up with here? Number 5, 3, -1. Is anybody having issues with that right there, either horizontal or the vertical line? All right, well, what's going to happen to us just like what happened yesterday? Remember we did the distance formula the distance of these, that was easy, you counted them. And then what did I give you? A non-horizontal or a non-vertical line. So how can I find the midpoint given coordinates that don't form a horizontal or vertical line? Just like distance, we have a midpoint formula. Okay, midpoint formula. Here's the midpoint formula. Again, it looks like an XY coordinate. Here's how you find the X coordinate of the midpoint. You take your X coordinates, add them together, and divide by 2. And guess how we find the Y coordinates? Add the Y coordinates together and divide by 2. Don't confuse this with distance, because what do we do with these in the distance formula? We subtract them, all right? So don't get them confused. Make sure you got the 2 separate coming into tomorrow's quiz.